Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2. And today I'm going to be giving you part 13 of What If Naruto Had a New Dream That Will Change Everything. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also go ahead and check out the brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning over an Anime King, and check out that and enjoy. And stay tuned for the brand new episode coming over an Anime King 3 and enjoy it as well guys later on. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King 2 and Anime King 3, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new, I'll be replying talking back to all of you. So yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Begin the intro. So the last part we left off, Sandaime was furious, as Naruto never told her that in order to test her chakra flow, she had to be completely naked. The only reason why she hadn't punched and killed the blonde yet was because this was going to save a lot of life, and she knew that was important. After that was over, as Shikamaru and Choji and Kiba was currently at the barbecue shack, as Kiba saw Naruto with that red-headed goddess, as he called them over, only for Zana to literally insult all three of them, as Naruto laughed the entire time, as Kiba just didn't know what to say to her. As Asuma came over, as Zana wanted to get out of here, as she scratched Asuma on the cheek, scratching his beard. When he spoke to her, as Asuma saw something strange, he then went to talk to Sandaime about it. Sandaime was surprised why Asuma would even think that Naruto released a Kyuubi and she would take a human form. The Kyuubi wasn't even a gender. It was just a mindless beast made from pure chakra. As she called Jiraiya over, and Jiraiya examined Naruto's seal. Naruto mixed together a couple of crap about Zana being from Kumo and all that together, making the both of them feel rather guilty for doing this. When that was over, Jiraiya felt like he should start teaching Naruto Senjutsu, as he should bring him to Mount Miyamoku, as they all felt too bad for assuming and being so hypocritical without even thinking, as they realized how stupid they were, as Sandaime knew that Asuma didn't know what he was talking about. Time passed as Naruto and Sakura were being called towards Sandaime's office when they were attacked. By his side, one of Danzo's agents. Naruto had the strength technique activated with his seals, and he ended up hitting Sai a bit too hard as his head snapped back and broke, killing him. Danzo was furious about that, but Sandaime was furious at Danzo as well for sending someone to attack her shinobi, as she told him to get out of her office. As Naruto gave Sandaime the scroll with the medical papers inside, as she was happy for that. As Koharu called Sandaime by her name, as Sandaime realized that Naruto was right, these people need to learn how to respect her, as that was exactly what she did, making the both of them afraid and call her Lady Sandaime, as she assigned Naruto to deal with any Akatsuki threat, seeing that they had to hold back against him while he didn't have to hold back. And with this new strength technique, and not to mention when Jiraiya teach him Senjutsu, he'll be literally unstoppable. Time passed as Asuma was attacked and stabbed through the heart by Hidan's technique, but because he had the sealing paper that Naruto had made, that was the only reason why he survived, as he got a heart transplant. And Ino, Choji, and Shikamaru saw the brilliance of full jutsu, because without that, their sensei would be dead now. As Ino went by to call Naruto to get ready for the mission, but Zana was there, the both of them completely naked, as Zana messed with Ino the entire time until Naruto arrived. As Ino could understand now why Choji and Shikamaru said that this Zana person was kind of a bitch, as Naruto turned towards her already to go and kill the Akatsuki members. So yeah guys, so basically that's what I thought. You guys can switch across to the place and check it out for yourself. So let's begin this new episode. At the moment, Danzo was lurking in one of his main route bases under Konoha, waiting for the right opportunity to bring the Kyuubi Jinjulti under his control. That time was close now. Soon the rebellious blonde will leave the village to go after two Akatsuki members that has been seen close by. The Uzumaki was powerful, far too powerful to be threatening to obedience, so he had to use another method. He cared nothing for rank, status or money, so he could not be bribed. In the end, emotions were his weakness, as Danzo knew they were. Uzumaki and Naruto had created bonds with people, and those bonds would be exploited for the good of Konoha. He was close to several people, and those people could use the force the Uzumaki obedience. He would abduct one of them and threaten their life if the Uzumaki did not obey. His sibling bond to Hinata Hayuka could not be used because she was a member of a prominent and powerful clan. Attempting to use her like that would backfire horribly. His teammate Sakura Haruna was Tsunade's apprentice, so he could not approach her either. The weak-hearted Tsunade would notice immediately and send out hordes of Anfu and search personally. That would get him executed to attempt such a thing. The ramen waitress would have been ideal, but she married into the Inuzaka. Her absence, especially that she was pregnant, would be noticed even faster than Haruna Sakura, and the Inuzakas would storm his compound by tracking her scent. It would be a bloodbath. Tenten was an option since she was an orphan, but it was still too risky, too high profile. She was a member of one of Konoha's most successful teams. Not to mention she wouldn't come quietly, which is what he needed for this. That was a problem with abducting Kunoichi shinobis. They always cause so much attention someone is bound to notice. Hanzo almost lost hope in this, but he heard that Uzumaki had formed a long-lasting relationship, not just a fling, with a woman. He would have been suspicious of her, seeing that her origins were from Kumo, but apparently she had been here for 21 years already. If she had intended to do anything, she would have done it by now. The Uzumaki explanation about her origin had not been secret, so it was spread around, but most people wasn't really interested about it. It vexed Danzo that he had no information on her or her parents, but that was not surprising. The fourth Hokage was distrustful of the council, and because of the Kyuubi rampage, many things has been slipped by unnoticed. Indeed, Danzo was rooting out spies years after the attack. So this Zana with Uzumaki Naruto was perfect for his purposes. The Jinchuriki had formed a strong bond with her, and she was supposed to have some mild Kunoichi training, so she would not be hard to subdue, and her absence wouldn't be noticed until it was too late. Danzo would send his route to capture her, and when the Jinchuriki returned from his mission, he would get a message saying that his woman was in Danzo's keeping, and if you want her to stay alive, you have to follow orders. Once this was done, the Jinchuriki would be put under brainwashing. He would slowly get images of his woman. Each time it will be altered until she was completely different. And then Danzo would find someone that looked like that, and alter her as well, and send her on a mission to kill Uzumaki Naruto, and he would have to kill her in self-defense. This would make sure that Konoha Kyuubi Jinchuriki would be an unstoppable weapon without any emotion that he could use to take over the other nations to make one rule, and that was Konoha. Uzumaki Naruto would be the sword that cut down the enemies and make all beyond the leaf kneel as Konoha became an empire. And he, Danzo, will do this as soon as he disposed of the useless 5th Hokage and become the 6th Hokage himself. His spies informed that the woman had a bloodline, not very strong but it was something. She would be used to breed a new clan, and her children become the next generation of tools to make Konoha strong. Danzo knew that he was old and he would not have so much time to do this. Senju Hoshirama cells would make him live longer than usual, but he was running out of time. He had hoped to train Sai's successor, but that was no longer an option. He would either find a new successor or one of her children would be used for the purpose. Fu, gather a team of 3 shinobis and go to the residence of Uzumaki Naruto, and bring the woman called Zana to me. Use your mind-body switch, and take over her body if she refuses to cooperate, and bring her here. Understood, Danzo-sama, said Fu. As he flashed away. Time skip. As Zana was sprawled out in Naruto's couch, all the windows were open as the breeze was blowing in, as she was currently indulging in something that made Naruto very amused when he learned that she liked it. Ice cream. She was convinced it was one of the few things that humans done right. It came in many flavors, and it felt so good when it slipped down her throat. Once, long ago when she was pretending to be human, she had eaten so much ice cream. This was done right in front of a woman that was dieting to stay thin. It had been funny as she ate tubs after tubs after tubs of ice cream, with no gaining weight to her figure, while they had to keep perfect watch of what they ate. Naruto made sure to keep plenty of ice cream stocked in the fridge at all times. Different flavors. That pleased her a lot. He was such a considerate man. She brought another spoon of chocolate ice cream to her mouth, as she intended to experience one of those brain freeze. That is what humans call it. But before she could take the swoop, 4 shadows leaped through the windows and surrounded her. She looked them over, as she just took her ice cream and eat it. Zana-san, Danzo-sama has requested your presence at Fu. in a polite tone, but his voice was completely empty with emotion. She glanced towards Fu. How nice for him, she said, as she took another scoop. Will you cooperate, said Fu. Which should she eat next? The tub of ice cream was divided into chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. She likes chocolate the most and strawberry the least, but she didn't want to eat all the chocolate at once. If she did that, there wouldn't be any left for mixing flavors, she thought to herself. With what? She said. Fu was confused. Didn't he just tell her that? Nonetheless, she hadn't refused, and she wasn't showing any hostility, so there wasn't any problem in telling her again. With Danzo-sama request. Maybe she could just melt it in a puddle of ice cream goo, and then freeze it once again. What request would that be? Fu started to think that this was one of those trophy women, as he was issued one of them once when he was playing a rich playboy on an infiltration mission, and she also acted similarly. The request to go to him, said Fu. No, she couldn't melt it like that. There was too many strawberry left. It would overpower the other flavors, and she wouldn't like it. The request to go to who? Danzo-sama, Fu said. Fu deduced that the woman had low intelligence. This was good. It'd make it easier to get her towards Danzo-sama. If she turned out to be hostile, it would be better to have an enemy of low intelligence. A smart enemy was a dangerous enemy. That depends, said Zan as she turned towards Fu. On what? Said Fu, hoping that they could finally get this mission completed. Does he have any chocolate flavor ice cream? She asked. She then stood up as she adjusted her clothing. Fu's eyebrow crinkled up into concentration as he tried to remember if Danzo-sama had any chocolate flavor ice cream or not. It appeared the woman would come willingly if he did, so this was a very important question. Unfortunately, he never saw Danzo-sama with any kind of ice cream. I don't believe so. Zana signed disappointment. Well, in that case, die. Before any of them could react, 9 fluffy tail came from her tailbone and speared through the other 3. Fu found himself looking into the red crimson eyes of a demoness as he felt fear, an emotion that he hasn't felt in decades. He was a chakra sensor, and what slammed into his senses right now was the same thing he felt when the Kyuubi attacked that night. Not to mention the tails were a giveaway. He had no idea how the demon was free, or how it stayed hidden away from his senses, but that didn't matter at the moment. Fu could move as she immobilized him with her tails, as she dug her claws into his chest, as he started to cough up blood, as her hand went into his chest and curled around his heart. A sudden heat erupted in his chest. Breath of the fire god. The man was incinerated from the inside out as she dropped the burned corpse. She liked that technique. It couldn't even be called a fire ninjutsu technique, since it operated on a completely different principle. All she did was compress the chakra in her hand, and then rapidly grind it together. The friction between it would generate a heat that would pretty much melt anything she touched. It helped that her chakra was naturally corrosive and moved like liquid fire. Idiots, she said as she sat back down. Without emotion, these idiots didn't even know when someone was mocking them. It was too bad Naruto's apartment was littered with so much trash, but he would clean it up when he get back home. She certainly wasn't going to do it. She was a demon, not a housewife. Hear her roar. Time skip. Hidan, Kakazu, why have you disengaged from the ceiling? We have been tracked by Konoha Shinobi. I think the Kyuubi Jinjulki is one of them, Kakazu answered. Very well. You are to take him alive, Pain said, to make sure Hidan would go overboard. Kill the others. Yeah, Hidan said. I'm gonna sacrifice them all to Jashin-sama. As far as he was concerned, those Konoha Shinobis were doing him a serious favor. Fighting and killing them were going to be way more interesting than sitting for 3 days until Nibi was sealed. Damn it, it will probably even be longer now that they were a man down. Hidan-san, Kakazu-san, said Itachi, as the two of them looked over towards him and everyone else. Be wary. Naruto Uzumaki is very powerful. Of course. He's the host of the Kyuubi, said Kakazu with a nod as he understood. It made sense that the Kyuubi Jinjulki will be the most powerful of the 9. No one has ever seen him use his Bijou Chakra before. Do not expect him to fight like a Jinjulki, Itachi warned as he closed his eyes, clearly not going to say anything else on the subject. Hidan's scoff. His immortality would be, well, knocking everything off course. What the Jinjulki threw at him, nothing would be able to harm him. And all he needs was a single drop of blood and can inflict so much injuries on the Kyuubi Jinjulki and force him to bow. No amount of power would help him then. Kakazu and Hidan stood up as they disengaged, as they waited for the Konoha Shinobi to approach. They could have attempted to escape, but neither one of them were speed-oriented, so it would be unlikely. Well, they wouldn't run anyway. Hidan was happy to sacrifice anyone to Jashin, and Kakazu was certain that at least one high bounty would be on the team. He was actually still upset that he wasn't able to collect the bounty on Osama Saratobi. When their pursuers came to view, Kakazu completely dismissed the four teenagers. They were just a waste of time. They were still wet behind the ears brat without a bounty on their head. Kakashi Hatsuki, the copy ninja, was another story however. His bounty was even higher than the one on Saratobi. The towering form of the Kyuubi Shinjuki was another interest as well, but that was due to the Akatsuki. The Hidden Stone has also posted a bounty on Naruto as well, but at the moment it wasn't exactly large. Kakazu would prefer to make him work for a larger bounty before he killed him, but he will take what he can get. So many sacrifices for Jashin-sama. This is gonna be great, Hidan said, as he was happy that there were so many. Shut your mouth, freak, and listen up, while I explain how we're gonna do this, said Naruto. As he pointed a finger towards Hidan, Hidan got pissed by that remark. As everyone looked towards Naruto, my minions are going to stand off to the side and observe, and also say how amazing I am when I kick your asses up and down the place, said Naruto. Naruto, said Kakashi after a brief silence. We're supposed to back you up against them. Not to mention I'm the one in charge here, being a jonin and all. Silence, minion! Naruto-sama is not accepting any complaints at this point in time, said Naruto. Everyone's sweat job, including two Akatsuki members. Is this guy for real? Kakazu asked. It suddenly became clear why they didn't try an ambush. This insane Jinjuki had insisted on just probably walking up to them and challenging them to a fight. It seems like Itachi was right, but it seems like he wasn't even your average shinobi either. He was something different entirely. He hesitated to even call this boy a shinobi. Sakura and Kakashi sighed as they nodded. Who the hell do you think you are, telling us how things are gonna go? I'm gonna sacrifice all of your little bodies to Jashin-sama, while Kakazu will take you down. That is how things are gonna go. Oh, I'm the guy that got interrupted because of his morning sex time because of you freaky imbeciles, said Naruto. I don't care what I interrupted, Hidan said. You're gonna be dead soon, but I'll kill those other guys first. Jashin is a faggot god of piss and fail, said Naruto. You heathen! I'll kill you, Hidan said, as he rushed towards Naruto swinging a stripper blade sight madly. Kakazu could only shake his head at how quickly the Kyuubi Shinjuki had learned how to push Hidan's button. But Itachi warned him he knew that Hidan would be killing him. Itachi wouldn't warn them unless the blonde was dangerous. Naruto kept grinning as Hidan rushed towards him. Unfortunate for Hidan at sight, a three-blade sight could easily get tangled up in something like a chain per se. As Naruto dodged aside as his chain shot out, wrapping around the blades. Hidan tried to pull it out, but Naruto yanked the chain, pulling his sight towards him as the cable that was attached to Hidan started to unroll. Give that back, you heathen! That sight is a holy artifact of Jashin-sama. Hidan howled as he tried to pull it back, but Naruto was just stronger than him. Really? I don't think Tenten has one of these yet. Maybe she would like it as a birthday present. Or maybe I could use it as a coat hanger, said Naruto. Hidan was literally frothing at the mouth as he was pissed off as he rushed forward to pummel the blonde with his fist. As Naruto dodged with ease, as this guy wasn't really coordinated at all, as he slammed his fist in Hidan's gut, driving all the breath out of him, and Hidan stumbled back. As Naruto pulled on the cable that was attached to Hidan and pulled him forward, smashing a kick into his face. The cable unraveled, preventing a repeat of that stunt as Hidan was sent sailing away. Kakazu just watched, as he was amused by how badly Hidan was getting his ass handed to him. This was common after all. Every time they ran into a strong team or something, Hidan would run his mouth, then get the crap beaten out of him, and Kakazu had to step in. The only reason why he always won a fight sometimes was because he wasn't have to focus on defensive. He could get cut, slashed, or anything, and he just had to focus on his ritual, seeing that he was immortal. That wasn't to say that Hidan wasn't dangerous, but still, he was uncoordinated, he was just wild. If it wasn't because of his immortality, he would be rated at least B rank, or even lower because how easily his button got pushed. Who let a loser like you join the Akatsuki? You're even more of a moron than Deidara. And that guy thought that art was an explosion. Hidan got to his feet with a murderous glare in his eye. Don't just stand there, Kakazu. Help me out here. Hold on, said Naruto as he looked towards Kakazu. I'll make a deal with you, freak. I won't use my chains. And if you match the line that hit on me, I'll give you your sight back. Deal, said Hidan. He rushed forward as he brought out one of his pikes. Naruto dumped the sight behind a nearby boulder and prepared himself. As Naruto dodged, when he got a sight of Hidan swinging, as he was just doing it randomly though, as Naruto grabbed the end of the pike, holding on to it. He then turned around and stabbed it in Hidan's gut, before smashing a fist and breaking his nose. While this was happening, Kakazu was considering the situation. Hidan was too much of a moron to realize the opponent was completely out of his league. so he will have to do all the heavy lifting like before. The other Konoha shinobis could prove quite troublesome if left alone. He was sure that he could bring the Jinchuriki down by blasting ninjutsu at him, but those other Konoha shinobis need to go. Fire release. Intelligent hard work. A powerful fireball exploded at the spot where the Konoha shinobis were standing not too long ago, but they were keeping an eye on Kakazu just in case he joined the fight, as they all move away when they saw the fire technique coming. As Naruto looked over, seems that this one liked the cheap tricks, as Kakazu had to remove his robe. Let me show you a cheap trick of my own, said Naruto. Hidan, who pulled the pipe from his gut, was now rushing back towards the blonde, but Naruto was done playing around, as he grabbed him and spun him around. A chain burst through Hidan's back and lifted him off the ground, as he cursed the entire time. Lightning release. False darkness, Kakazu said, as he fired the spear of lightning towards the blonde, intending to take him down quickly. It would be powerful, and took down a powerful enemy but not fatal. Ninja art, Naruto said. Human shield. As he brought Hidan down in front of the lightning bolt, Hidan screamed and cursed as he was electrocuted. Damn it, Kakazu, Hidan said, smoking. Watch where you're aiming, and get me off this chain, Hidan yelled. You'll be fine, Kakazu said, without any concern. Wind release. High pressure damage. Hidan was also placed in the path once again, but his technique was wide, and damaged ear as well. The other Konoha shinobi were blown away, but they were undamaged. Alright, that's it. I'm done playing around with you. As Naruto took off his coat, Sakura catches as he threw it towards her. She caught the coat out of reflex but scowled, being used as a coat hanger while her teammate did all fighting. Hey, Sakura, said Naruto, as she turned towards him. Remember when you said I couldn't copy Sandaime super strength technique with Fuinjutsu? Sakura's eyes widened as she saw Naruto grin. Seal of power. Activate, said Naruto, as a massive seal array appeared on his shoulder, spine, arms and legs and went straight down. What's that? Kakazu said. Fuinjutsu strength enhancement, said Naruto as he picked up a nearby boulder like it was nothing. Have some as he tossed the boulder at immense speed towards Kakazu. As Kakazu dodged in time, as the boulder smashed a tree into splinters. Before he could say anything else, he was impaled from behind with a blade of lightning coming through his chest. Kakashi had stayed hidden after the wind attack and used that distraction to provide this quick attack. Damn it, Kakashi! Didn't I told you not to get involved, Naruto said that scowl. I didn't even get to test out my new seal properly. Kakashi's eyes smiled. Well, we can't get what we want every time. Huh, you idiots think that you want, Hidan said, blood still flowing from where he was impaled. In that instant, Kakashi was kicked away by a very alive Kakazu, who dusted himself off like a hole in his chest didn't bother him. He's alive? Said Naruto in shock, before he grinned. This is great. As Kakashi removed his ruined shirt to show his stitched up chest with the 4 masks in his back, the masks separated forming bodies out of thick, black threads. One of the masks broke immediately, its new body collapsing down. It's been a long time since someone destroyed one of my hearts, said Kakazu. Hold on a second, said Naruto as he raised his finger, as he walked over and picked up Hidan's sight that was lodged between some rocks. Naruto removed the chain that was embling Hidan as Hidan fell towards the ground in his stomach. Before he could get up, Naruto slammed the sight into him, blade first. It was buried so deep the blades weren't even visible. Leaving him pinned to the ground, Naruto turned towards the other Akatsuki member, expecting to get a good fight out of this. Now we can get on with it, and stay out of it this time, Kakashi. Kakashi grunted by the blonde's stubbornness, as the other leaf shinobi did the same. Kakazu, help me up, damn you, you asshole! You really think you can take me on, said Kakazu, ignoring Hidan. I fought against the first Hokage, and you're not anywhere near his level. As Naruto really didn't care. It doesn't matter who you fought before, because this right here is gonna be your last battle. As Naruto moved forward, lightning release. False darkness. The lightning mass blasted the attack, but Naruto absorbed it into his gloves. Kakazu's eyes widened in surprise, but he was given no time to think about it, as Naruto reached him and swung his fist. But Kakazu hardened his skin. The punch still sent him flying though, but he only suffered minor damage. That was alarming though, because his earth heart prevented him from getting hurt by physical attacks. It seems like it was time to stop playing around. The wind mass opened his mouth and started to spew compressed wind balls. Naruto took several direct hits and got blasted away. Naruto's Sakura shouted out in worry. Before she could make her way though, Naruto got up, looking completely undamaged. There were a few bruises on his chest, as seals appeared, and the bruises faded away like they were never there. That almost hurt, he said, as he grinned at Kakazu. Kakazu frowned slightly. This was not going any way that he expected to. Those compressed ear blasts were strong enough to shatter a stone, but the Kyuubi Jinchuriki got up like it was nothing. and the rapid heal and build that he displayed was worrying. Combine that with the fact he didn't know what happened to his lightning technique. It started to paint a very worried picture in his head. Kakazu loved to say that he fought against Hoshirama Senju, but honestly, that fight was just one-sided. The Hokage had overwhelmed him with his Mokutan techniques and even took it easy on him. For Kakazu, it was a bitter struggle, but for the first, it was like a light exercise. The one injury that he got on the man had healed so quickly, it was barely even visible. In a few seconds. He then had to flee because the man got serious, and he realized with the Kyuubi Jinchuriki ability, he was unable to win. And he was outnumbered as well, even though they were staying back right now. He couldn't risk this anymore. Hidan might be an irritating idiot, but if nothing else, he was good as a distraction. He just needed to get him free. Aside from that, they would probably need to cut the Jinchuriki legs off to stop him, because he didn't see any way otherwise. Fire release, intelligent hard work. As the fireball went towards Naruto, but the real target was a bit behind. The pin down, Hidan. Naruto dodged the fireball and Hidan's eyes widened as he watched the fireball come towards him. As the fireball destroyed the ground, in launching aside as Hidan was blown away. Burn as he screamed. Meanwhile, shouldn't we help him? Ino asked. As she saw Naruto took another ear blast to the chest, but he just ran right through it. He seemed to have things handled. He knows that they can't kill him and he's taking advantage of it. If we go into it, we might just end up in the crossfire. Just keep an eye out for any sneak attacks. The others look dubious, but not anyway. Meanwhile, so far Naruto hasn't thrown back any of Kakazu ninjutsu at him, so Kakazu did not know that he was absorbing them into his gloves. Naruto picked up a broken tree and sailed towards Kakazu as he charged towards the fire mask. Kakazu dodged the tree as he focused back on the blonde. As Naruto released all the wind attack that he absorbed, shocking Kakazu as he exploded the ground in front of him and some slam right into him. As Naruto blasted one of Kakazu's lightning spear right through the fire mask, destroying it. Kakazu was now backing away. He really underestimated the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. The blonde was relentless and tireless. He ignored all the injuries inflicted on him and just kept on charging. And where the hell was Hidan in the way? If this kept up for much longer, he would lose another heart. He needs some distance as Jinchuriki was too dangerous in close quarters. Wind release. Pressure damage. The ferocious wind blew him away, much to Kakazu's relief. This was somewhat worse than fighting the first. That man was much more powerful, but he was also a happy-go-lucky goof who never killed if he could avoid it. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki was going right for a juggler from the very start. The ruthless way he tore Hidan down and used him as a shield underlined that very easily. As Kakazu spotted Hidan taking cover behind a fallen tree, using the dust to remain unnoticed. He looked just like the fried imbecile that the Jinchuriki had called him before the battle. Still, at least it seemed like he understood that head-on attacks wouldn't work on everyone. As expected, the blonde juggernaut burst through the dust cloud, coming straight towards Kakazu. As he rushed past Hidan, Hidan swiped his side with his spike. As the wound was healed over instantly, as Naruto kept on running. Suddenly, Naruto fell down to the ground by a stabbing pain into his leg. The wound healed over immediately, only to be repeated on his other leg. Looking behind him, he saw Hidan, the different color, black and white like a skeleton. A lightning bolt then smacked into Naruto's back, giving him a painful electric shock. Shit, come on, we gotta help him, Kakashi. Hidan had been away from the fight so long. They completely forgot about him. Naruto was pressing them harder than Kakashi expected, but he should have known that Naruto wouldn't be able to handle both of them by himself. These were S-rank shinobis. Muttering to himself about overconfident students, he rushed forward to help Naruto, along with Sakura and Team 10. Meanwhile, Naruto grunted another hole, dig into his stomach, but it was healed. The mystical palm technique coming to life. Kakazu got occupied with the other, so he wasn't throwing any more ninjutsu at him. Naruto had to admit, he got carried away in this fight. Hidan was a wimp, he forgot about him completely, and it cost him dearly. He still had ace up his sleeves that would have got him out of the tight spot, such as his ability to open the gates. But it was embarrassing to get caught like this. He was just having so much fun. He lost sight of Hidan after the man got hit by the fireball. "How do you like that, you heathen?" said Hidan, as he stabbed himself in the gut again. A wound opened up on Naruto's stomach. "I think I like it better if I could take a piss on one of Jashin altars," said Naruto as he shot 2 chains forward. He tried to stab himself again, but he got grabbed by the chains, and he was grabbed right out and pulled from his circle. Now with Hidan wrapped up in the chains, and no way of getting out, Naruto removed the scythe from his back and held on to it. "Don't touch my scythe, you piece of crap. A heathen like you doesn't deserve to hold it." Naruto pulled his fist back and smacked Hidan across the face, breaking his neck. Kakazu leaped back, seeing that Hidan was as useless as ever. A short skirmish with the Konoha team. Only Nara and Kakashi was truly dangerous. The blonde girl was completely useless and didn't have anything to damage his mask. and the fat one was kept at bay with his ninjutsu. The pink hair girl was strong, and she was strong with evasion as well, but she could be kept at bay with ninjutsu, as he was angry that he didn't have his fire heart anymore. If he had that, he could have torched them with a combination jutsu. But something was bad. Something really bad was happening at the moment. He was starting to run out of chakra that hadn't happened in decades. By stealing the hearts of shinobi, and he got their chakra capacity, he was able to keep it up for a long time, but this battle, he has used so much ninjutsu attack. The first Hokage once said, as Naruto draw everyone's attention to him, if a man hits you on the right cheek, he made the chains holding Hidan longer, so they pulled on the floor as they grabbed Hidan by his wrist, gave him a pile driver on the left, as Naruto slammed Hidan into the ground, cracking the ground, leaving a Hidan shape imprint. He yanked him and tossed him into the distance. As the chains released him, sending him sailing as he cursed the entire way. The first Hokage never said that, said Kakashi, rubbing the bridge of his nose, wondering what turned Naruto so crazy. And that wasn't a pile driver either, said Choji. Sakura simply lowered her head. Kakazu realized this was unlikely to end in his favor. The Jinchuriki alone was bad enough, but now that all of them were ganged up on him, he was screwed. Ino was staying away from the battle, where she wouldn't get in the way, as she felt useless. It didn't take her long for her to realize she was nothing more than a liability. The only thing she had was her mind-body switch, and that would be insane to use against these zombies. If she got injured possessing one of their bodies, they would just strike it off, and she would die. Naruto created several shadow clones, who started to saturate the air with chakra and lightning mass, as it started to spin and got lifted in the air. In a mini tornado, lightning being weak to wind, it couldn't fire off any of its attacks. As the original Sen changed towards Kakazu, as Shikamaru sent out his shadow. The wind mass fired off some wind attacks, as Kakashi created a massive earth wall, protecting them. As he then turns attention towards Shikamaru, forcing him to leap back, as Kakazu leap up in the air to avoid a chain that burst from the earth. Naruto smirked as he blasted Kakazu with one of his own lightning techniques that pierced through his earth heart. Kakashi fired off a fire technique, slamming into the wind tornado that exploded, destroying the lightning mass. By now, Kakashi had deduced that he had to get rid of all these creatures to finish his man. The shadow clones popped, except for one that was out of sight. That one vanished without the smoke of shadow clone dispelling, but it went unnoticed because everyone is focused on the battle. The wind mass moved forward to go into its, user's body, but Sakura came in front of it. She smashed her fist right into it as it exploded. They all waited to see if Kakazu was going to get up once again, but he didn't. Well, I think that went fairly well, said Naruto, as he deactivated the strength seal. Naruto used so much chakra, all that healing, walking through Kakazu's attacks, and all those shadow clones to use the tornado. Yes, it was a lot. Everyone looked at him. They think that he would call that screw up going fairly well. True, they were all alive, but they were so pissed off that the blonde insisted on fighting them solo. They could have finished things a lot sooner if Naruto hadn't tried everything himself, seeing that they took out Kakazu together. What? He said. Everyone turned to leave without answering. Hey, Sakura, where's my coat? Sakura pointed to where she left it. Well, a wing technique had blown it away. She was honestly pissed at her blonde teammate right now, so she hoped that he got damaged or lost. But Naruto found it, as he took note of Kakazu's body, as he looked at the ring on his finger, as he remembered seeing one on Deidara and Sasura's finger now that he thought about it, and one that was on Itachi's finger when he tried to cast again jutsu on him. He took the ring, as he sealed away the body. Tsunade had given standing orders to bring back any Akatsuki body if able to. That done, he hurried to catch up to the others. Meanwhile, somewhere very far away from battle, with many of his bones broken, Hidan was lying in a crater in the ground. He was waiting for his healing factor to kick in so he can get up and go to kill that Hidan. That done this to him. A slight ripple in the air, and he appeared and grabbed him by the arm. As the two of them vanished a moment later, the shadow clone that hadn't dispelled, but instead made use of the Hirashin seal that was placed on Hidan, teleported the man as he placed him down on a metal table. Before Hidan could speak a word, he was bound with phone jutsu and ropes and chains, so he couldn't move an inch, as a gag was placed in his mouth to keep him quiet. Naruto had recreated the Hirashin long before the training trip ended, but he did not tell anyone about it. He had no idea how his father used the damn technique in battle. To him, it was so disoriented and he had trouble distinguishing which beacon was where. That is why he kept it a secret, and that paid off in unexpected ways. He hadn't expected to come across an immortal in all things, but he was going to look a gift horse in the mouth. He had marked man the Hirashin before sending him flying, with every intention of collecting him back. It was obvious that the man was an insane serial killer, so Naruto had no problem taking him apart piece by piece to discover the secrets of his immortality. As Hidan saw the look in this man's eyes, and it looked hungry, something for knowledge or information. Time skip. As Naruto was making his way home, after the debrief with Tsunade, she was not pleased how he handled that battle. Well, he was not pleased either. There were so many other ways he could handle that fight. But he wanted to test out his strength seal. In the start, he could have just thrown Hidan away, or broken him in half, and it wouldn't be an issue. But he played with the nut instead. Still, the fight was won. And now he had an immortal test subject. All in all, things turned out quite well. Now it was time to get back home and finish what he and Zana was doing, before Ino had interrupted. As he entered his apartment, "Honey, I'm home," he said. A snort came from the living room. What the hell was that stench, Naruto wondered, as he stepped into the living room. As Naruto looked at the three corpses, three of them looked like they had been pierced through the chest, while the other one looked like he was set on fire from the inside out. Their Anvo style gear wasn't painting a very comfortable picture, as Zana was relaxing, enjoying the breeze through the window, with 3 tubs of ice cream beside her. "What happened?" said Naruto. "Danzo sent these 4 puppies to bring me to him. As you can see, I took exception to that," she said. Naruto's eye twitched with fury at the man trying to deduct the woman he loved. For what idiotic reason he had, it didn't matter that the old bat had chosen the absolute worst target. What mattered was he tried to take away something dear to him. I see. So Danzo wants to play hardball, does he? It was time that Danzo understand he wasn't the only one that can ignore the law when it became inconvenient, as his mind went through everything that he knew about Danzo, as he had the exact thought in mind what to do. Assassination. It was quite doable, but he needed to get everything in place at the proper time. But he needed to get rid of these corpses first. It was good things that I kept the windows open, or the apartment would smell like a morgue by now. Time skip, the train enough team guy wasn't something anyone wanted to get, well, kind of close to. So they weren't interrupted often. At the moment, the group was training, and he came as a surprise as Naruto walked in on that. "Tenten," Naruto called out in a sing-song voice. "Naruto-sensei, you know, I realize you should be calling me Naruto Shishao, since you're my apprentice and not my student," said Naruto. Okay. "Naruto Shishao it is. So what are you doing here?" "Oh no, I'm here because I need you to give it to me." Naruto says his hands reach towards her as she stepped back. "What do you need me to give you?" she said nervously. "You know what I'm talking about. You need to give me it," he said, as he placed the armor on her waist. "I have no idea what you're talking about, Naruto Shishao." Tenten insisted that she tried to get away, but his arm was around her waist as she couldn't move. "Oh, but I think you do, and I must insist you give it to me." As he pulled her closer. "Naruto, it is most unyouthful to treat a lady this way," said Guy. "Unhand her. I shall be forced to defend my student." Lee teared up as he started writing his notebook, as Guy sensed he was a leading authority on everything in the world. But Naruto ignored him. As Tenten spoke, "Can't you just let me keep for a bit longer? I promise I'll give it to you. I just need a bit more time," she said, as she knew what he was talking about. "Tenten, you should not give in to his unyouthful demands like that," said Guy. "I'm afraid I'll have to insist. It's been long enough." "And you've been holding out on me," said Naruto. "Alright, Shisho, I understand," she said. She reached into her tunic, but Neji interrupted before she could pull her hand out. "Tenten, you weren't seriously gonna with Naruto right here," he said. As he looked rather embarrassed by just saying that, Tenten looked at Neji in confusion, as she pulled a scroll out of her tunic and gave it to Naruto, as she tried to find out what Neji was talking about. No thinking about the conversation. Perverts! She spin and kick all of her teammates away, including her sensei. "Excellent kick, perfect form," said Guy, on the floor, as he was still proud, as Naruto unsealed a Kuzenakaman scroll, as he sealed it back in his coat, as Tenten had forgotten to return it, after the debacle with Sasori and Deidara. "You know, come to think of it, I've never slept with a virgin before," said Naruto. Tenten spin and kicked him as well. "Tell me something, Tenten," said Naruto. "Which would you rather give me, the Kusanagi, or your virginity?" He said that grin, not minding the kick at all. Tenten huffed and did her best to look angry, but she was red like a lobster. She would never admit the question made her feel conflicted. A girl, first time was important, but a Kusanagi was a great bleed. Now that she played around with it for a while, she wanted it even more. Naruto smiled to ruffle her hair. Her fascination with pointed, sharp things that were used for murder was very cute. "I do have a consolation prize for you though." "A consolation prize?" she said. As Naruto reached into his coat and unsealed, he on sight, a Jushin sight. Her eyes glimmer as she took in the metal and how it was forged. "Where did you get this? These are really rare. And I heard that the Order of Jushin protect them religiously." As she swung around a few times to test the balance, despite the awkward appearance, the weapon was very well balanced. Took it off of Jushin to join up with Akatsuki. You should have seen the look on his face when I took it from him. "You're the greatest, Naruto Shishao." As she hugged him, nearly stabbed him with his side, but she did not. Take notes, Neji. The way to a girl's heart is through her weapon stockpile. "Not a chance in hell," said Neji. He was not going to act as idiotically and write down life advice. Especially life advice from someone like Naruto. Time skip. The lifeless body of Yujito fell to the ground, or Biju extracted. It had taken nearly 5 days to do it because he and Kakasu never returned to the ceiling. Zetsu was sent to investigate, but he only found a shattered battlefield. Looks like the zombie brothers got beaten by the Kibichin Julike, said Kisame as the rest of the members opened their eyes. We have sealed 2 Bijus and lost 4 members. This is unacceptable, said Pain. Hidan was in Konoha when I was last able to sense him. There is no doubt he has been captured and his ring removed. That was the entire purpose of their rings. Chakra, mind connection tools. Pain could speak to them when they had the rings on. He could sense where they were, always knowing their locations. Zetsu, I want you to infiltrate Konoha and find Hidan, and see if it's possible to extract him. Understood, Pain-sama, said the Black Zetsu. Toby, what of a standby? Toby, and Zetsu couldn't find it, but a nice fisherman told Toby that he saw ninjas with music notes trying to do something to a giant turtle. That nice fisherman had been putting on genjutsu to make him think that Toby was his best friend and he should tell him everything in the end. Everyone waited for Toby to say something else, but he just kept looking, like he was very pleased with himself. Pain suppressed the urge to sigh at Madara antics. And they failed and Big Turtle swam out to sea. Maybe they should have played a song for it instead. They should be good at that, since they were sound shinobis. Hey, Itachi-senpai, do you think Orochimaru knows how to play the piano? Itachi closed his eyes and ignored Toby. He wasn't going to play these ridiculous games that Madara's team hell-bent on. Itachi and Kisame will go after the Yanbai next. Toby will try to find a standby until Zetsu return. Should Toby play a song for Giant Turtle? Asked Toby. Kisame smirked as everyone else sighed. Unknown to them all, Obito was doing it to mess with them, because they all knew different things. Itachi knew that he was Madara, but nothing else. The others didn't know that he knew this. Nagato and Konan knew that he was Madara, and they thought that his plan was their plan. They knew that he was truly the Akatsuki, but the others, Kisame and Itachi, didn't know this. Kisame also knew that he was Madara, and he knew the true plan and knew that he was the one in charge. But Kisame didn't know how much others knew, nor do they knew how much he knew. And Zetsu knew everything about everyone. In fact, Zetsu knew more than Obito. And Obito didn't know that. It was all a game of string and lies. Time skip. All council members were in the council room, standing waiting for the Hokage to arrive, for them to sit down. As this was a normal meeting, nothing over the edge or anything. Investments and all that, seeing that they were all invested in the village finances and all that. Naruto had no investments, but Tsunade insists that he attend these things too. Naruto didn't really care about what presidency set or anything like that, because he always sent clones to come to these things, as he somewhat suspected that Tsunade insisted that he attend, just to annoy him. Even if he sent a clone, he felt sleepy from the members of these council meetings. They were just that boring. This time, however, he was actually there, for a change. The reason for this is he wanted to see how his political statement would go over, as he had marked several locations with his Hiroshin already, the council member room being one of these. You never know when you might need to teleport somewhere after all. Even though he couldn't use it in combat, he could teleport away. He teleported into the room the previous night and left out the present under Danzo's seat. Seeing that the room was guarded from the outside, there was no problem teleporting inside, as Naruto was also wearing a seal when he did it, so he wouldn't be sensed by the sensors that were watching the place. And he had dulled his scent with scent killers, just in case Inazuka's tried to sniff him out. But the 1 minute he spent inside the room, well, that wouldn't draw much scent. And at the moment, under Danzo's seat was explosive, custom-made tags that was there with duct tape. You could never go wrong with duct tape. Seal tags stick to place with chakra sometimes, but since that wasn't an option for them to sense anything from the get caught, Naruto used duct tape. He had been thinking to do the same for the other 2 elders because the moment they sit down, it would have exploded, but that was pushing it too far. His animosity towards them was well known, and it wouldn't do good if people started to investigate. Naruto came out of his thoughts as Tsunade came into the room, flanked by our usual envoy escort. As soon as Tsunade came in, everyone started to sit down, as Naruto made sure not to look at Danzo. Boom! The explosion went off, splapped her Danzo lower half, as it flashed towards the 2 elders, all Danzo's guts over them, as Naruto had made it purposely that way, for it to go over to the other side, where the elders sit. Before anyone could say anything, Danzo and his pieces vanished. A completely distorted Danzo appeared out of thin air, inches away from his seat, looking frazzled. Naruto didn't have to hide his shock, since everyone else was shocked as well. Anvu, seal the room and search for any more explosives, said Tsunade, as the shadows speed around the room doing as she said. Naruto was not worried about them finding his Hiroshin seal, since he already knew he removed it. It was hard to see, but He wouldn't take any chances. Everyone waited as the envoys did their job. The room is clear, Hokage-sama. One of them reported. The explosive note was taped to Sharimura-san's chair. No doubt to avoid detection when they place it. Inoichi, can you tell me anything about Chakra's signature on the explosive note? It's completely unfamiliar to me, Hokage-sama. Whoever this mysterious SealMaster is, I've never encountered them before, Inoichi said, as he was the best Konoha sensor, and he made himself well known by feeling everyone's chakra so he could identify them for cases just like this. Tsunade nodded, not too surprised by this. It wouldn't be that convenient for the assassin to be that sloppy, as Naruto used Hidan's blood to power the ink and the note, so it was his chakra using the blast. Most Fuinjutsu master would know how to do it, but Naruto learned how to extract someone's chakra for something like this. And for the victim, it was rather unpleasant and terrible. And Inoichi didn't know Hidan chakra signature, so he would never know. Naruto, what can you tell me about the explosive note itself? It didn't look like a standard one. Nothing much, it was obviously a customized directional type. Any half-decent Fuinjutsu user can make one. Tsunade did not that she expected that. There were a few people in the room that can make that explosive note, herself included. Tatsumi, can you get a scent? Asked Tsunade. Sorry, Tsunade-san, but everything is muffled from having so many people in the room, and the explosion would have burned off any scent I would have gotten from there. Tatsumi said that shrug. She was honestly kind of disappointed that Danzo was still alive. My instincts can detect nothing except for the unknown chakra mentioned by Inoichi-san. Perpetrator have left no physical evidence, said Hayashi, with Byakugan activated, as he deactivated them. Everyone looked towards Shikaku. Hey, don't look at me, I got nothing. Sometimes it really sucks being the smartest guy around. People always look towards you, expect you to know stuff. Troublesome. Tsunade frowned at lack of clues. This was a clearly well executed assassination attempt. Now that is over with, I would like to know how you survived, Danzo, said Tsunade. I use a kinjutsu passed down in my clan, Danzo said, knowing that no one could push him on the subject. If he claimed that it was a clan secret, he did his best to control his emotions so he didn't snarl. He was forced to use Izanagi to escape death, but that was far from the worst of it, due to all of the Sharingan in his arms seal away, so that would not cause a massive chakra drain. He had to use one in his skull. In other words, he was forced to use Shisui, Mangita Sharingan, for the very technique he never wanted to use it for. Whole point in the eyes of his arm was to escape death without using the infallible one. Without it, he couldn't use the Code Masukame anymore. Never before, as the seal in his arm turned against him, as the eye was sucking in his chakra if they weren't sealed away, and that would have left him drained or even killed him. It was even worse than having one implanted like Kakashi had. There had been assassination attempts on him before, but he always fended them off without using Izanagi. This one was well executed, as he had no idea how the assassin had did it. Despite Inoichi's words, he knew that the assassin was a Konoha shinobi. In fact, he knew exactly who it was, as he looked over towards the blonde. 1 week after he tried to kidnap the Uzumaki woman, and now this happened. But unfortunately, there was no evidence. There wasn't a damn thing that he could do about it. And he couldn't claim or show anything without proving that he sent a team to capture the Uzumaki woman. When Fu and his team did not return, Danzo knew that their mission had failed. The possibility of it being traced back to him was low, since his agents didn't carry any identified mark on them. Danzo realized every time his agents went to get Uzumaki, they always turned up dead. He was certain that the woman would be overpowered by 4 of his roots, but he miscalculated on that, and there was no disturbance noted by anyone, so they were probably taken out easy without any fuss and quickly. It seems like Zana was not the weakling that he thought she was, as he was saving the Kodomasukami for the Uzumaki. But now that was gone. Damn it! But guys, be any subscribe right here. If you want something sport, be to do. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as you posted. But I'm off now. See you guys soon. Peace.